Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be doing the book haul video from Bookexpo Part 1. So there were definitely a few books that I really wanted to get during BEA, and there was just one really in particular that I really wanted to get, but I couldn't get it because they were only giving it out on the last day, and unfortunately I couldn't make it on that day. I was able to stop by for like maybe half an hour or so because I had other prior engagements. So most of the books that I'm showing you guys, or will be showing you guys in part 2, is mostly just from the day 2 of BEA. So imagine if I went on day 3 as well. Oh my god. So I'll be showing you this book that I received. It would not be in any particular order. It's not ordered by publication date. It's not ordered by when I received it or when I got the book, because right now it's a complete mess in my suitcase right now. So I'm just going to go pick it up and show you guys as I go along. So the first book is Charlie Hernandez, The League of Shadows by Ryan Caliho. I really hope I pronounced his name correctly. I believe this book is actually a middle grade fantasy book, but the main reason why I picked this up is because it's about mythology, and I am psyched for mythology. Anything mythology, just throw them my way because I really like it. So this book follows the story of a boy called Charlie Hernandez who grew up listening to Latino and Hispanic mythology, which is a part of mythology that I'm not super aware of. Usually when I think of mythology, I think of Greek, the Romans, etc. So this really piqued my interest, and basically just follows his story and how he grew up listening to these mythology and these myths from his grandmother, and then one day he finds out that perhaps they're not just myths. So this book sounds really good. I'm really psyched to pick this up, and this book will be out on October 23rd. So next book that I got is Witchborn by Nicholas Bowling. Really hoping I pronounced his last name correct. But actually, the funny thing is this book comes out in September 25th, 2018. But I believe this book actually came out already in 2017 in the UK. At least according to Goodreads and according to some of the pages in here where it says first published in the United Kingdom. So that being said, this book was actually published and available in Europe already, and now it's being published in the US, and I'm really excited for this book. So this book is set in the 1500s. It follows a girl called Alice, who apparently plays a part in the rivalry between these two queens for England, and apparently there's dark magic involved. So it all sounds very good, and I'm very excited to read it. So next book that I got is The Echo Room by Parker Peavyhouse. I am absolutely stoked for this book. It sounds so good. Apparently it is a claustrophobic speculative theater. It follows the story of these two strangers who had these fractured memories, and they basically tried to escape this strange prison, and then after escaping they realized that maybe they weren't locked in, but they were trying to lock someone or something out. And according to some of the reviews already, it says, warning, if you can't handle creepy, don't venture beyond the first few pages. Recommended for readers who enjoy an adrenaline rush. And I'm super stoked. It sounds so good. Really excited. I'm really hoping that this book does not let me down, because I am so excited for this book. And this book comes out in September 2018. So the next book that I got is Mirage by Somaya Dodd. I am really excited for this book. I really like the cover, by the way. Loving the color scheme here. So I believe this book is actually set not on Earth, but somewhere in the far distance in the galaxy, because it says here that it is in a star system dominated by the brutal Vathic Empire. And it follows a girl called Amani, who apparently is a dreamer. Her dream is to become a poetry writer, or a poet. And so she has that dream, and all of a sudden one day, adventure comes and she becomes kidnapped by the regime, and she's basically forced to become the body double of the evil, cruel, half Vathic princess, and who is so hated by everyone, by the way, that to the point that she needs a body double, that way in case someone tries to murder her or kill her, Amani would be the one to take the fall. So anyways, I'm really excited for this book. This book comes out August 28th, 2018. So the next book that I got is All We Ever Wanted by Emily Giffin. I was really excited for this book, mainly because I read her Darcy and Rachel series and I really enjoyed it. So when I saw that they were giving out this book, they were dropping it, I was like, please let me get it. So apparently this book is about a woman who is basically forced to choose between her family as opposed to her deeply held values. So it sounds really good. I have really high hopes for it, since I really liked her other books. So Really excited to pick this out. This one comes out in June 2018. So the next book that I got is one I'm super excited for, mainly because this is a retelling and I love my retellings, and this is actually a retelling based on the Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale, and that is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This book comes out July 10th, and this book sounds so good. It's kind of the female version of Rumpelstiltskin, I believe, because it follows a girl called Miriam, and she is the daughter and the granddaughter of moneylenders, and apparently her father is not very good at, you know, collecting money. So what happens is she starts to boast that she can turn silver to gold, and apparently words have power, and I guess the fate of a kingdom will be forever altered by the challenge she has issued. So I am really excited for this book. This book sounds so good, and I'm actually planning on going to one of the events. I believe it's end of June in New York City. So anyways, I'm so excited for this book. This book sounds so good. So the next book that I got is one that it was actually not on my radar prior to researching for BEA, but then I saw an article where it talked about the most highly anticipated YA novels, and this was on that list, and then I found out that it was an Asian inspired fantasy, and I was like, yes, sign me up. So that book is The Girl King by Mimi Yu. I am so excited for this book. It comes out January 8th, 2019, and it looks so good. I'm not a huge fan of the cover, to be honest, but the content looks really good, and my friend at Bloomsbury, she said she did not read it, but she heard a lot of good things about it, and there are already a lot of high praise for it, so really psyched to pick this up. So the next book that I got is also kind of interesting because it was actually released in the UK back in 2017. This is already the second book out of this book haul video where it was initially published already last year, and now it's being published in the US. So that book is called After the Fire by Will Hill. I am really excited for this book because this is a book that I feel that I don't usually see. It's based on a cult, essentially. It follows the story of a girl. Her name is not made known according to the back and any of the summaries that I've seen so far. So there might be a reason for that. Basically follows the story of this girl who was basically in this cult, and she been living inside this fence, and there's a father, John, who's controlled everything, and he basically does not allow anyone to leave the property, doesn't allow anyone to talk to outsiders, because what he says is right. He knows what's right and he knows what's wrong. But then came the fire. So this book sounds really good. It's apparently about a book about survival and escape, so I'm already very excited for this book. And this book comes out on October 1st. So the next book that I got is Resistance by Jennifer A. Nielsen. This comes out on August 28th. This book is about a girl called Shia Lindner, who is a Jewish teenager living in Nazi-occupied Poland. So that's already enough of a synopsis, but she basically joins this resistance group to, you know, go against the Nazi, and it just talks about her journey and what she did during that time. And this book sounds really good. Again, I'm not a huge fan of historical fiction, but this book somehow called to me, and I was just like, alright, let me give this a try. So I am pretty excited for this book. So the next book that I got is one that I was not expecting to get at all. I was actually in line to get a book signed from a different author, but I guess the way how that line works was you just go down it, and both authors will be giving you both of their books and will be signing both of their books. And I noticed that no one was like, no, I don't want this book. So I was like, you know what, I'll just pick it up and see, because, you know, BA and BookCon experience are all about finding like hidden gems where you find an exciting new book. So I decided to just check it out. And the book is called Restoration Heights by Will Medeiros. It comes out on January 22nd, 2019. So it's pretty far in the future. So according to the back, this book seems to be about the rapidly gentrification of Brooklyn, which is so true these days. And it follows the story of a young artist and a missing woman. And apparently it's dubbed as the next great New York novel. But yeah, I guess I'll read and find out if I like this book or not. So the next book that I got is the one that I was actually in line for, and that book is called The Lost Letters of William Wolfe by Helen Cullen. The premise of this book sounds really unique and terribly romantic. It's basically follows the story of William Wolfe, who apparently is a letter detective, which I didn't even know was a thing. But apparently his job is to basically reconnect lost letters with their respective owners, trying to figure out like who this is intended for, etc. And then he stumbles upon letters from a woman, an unknown woman, who basically is addressing this letter to her soulmate. And as he reads more about her, like reads her letter more, he decides, he's starting to wonder if maybe if these letters are actually intended for him, and that perhaps he is the soulmate that this woman is seeking. So this book sounds so good. It sounds so unique, and there's a reason why I'm really excited for it. And also the author signed it and included some postcards in here as well, so I'm pretty excited to read this book. And this book comes out on October 2nd, 2018. So the next book that I got is one that I know a lot of people are highly anticipating for, and this is the first book of a trilogy, and it is Seafire by Natalie C. Parker. This book comes out in August 2018, and apparently it follows a girl called Caledonia Styx, who is a female captain, and her crew is mostly made of girls and women who have also lost their families and homes to this corrupt warlord called Eric Athair. I'm hoping I pronounced that name right, and his bloodthirsty army of the bullets. And then one day, Caledonia's best friend and second in command basically survives an attack thanks to the help of this bullet who's looking to defect. And now she's wondering to herself if this guy is the key to taking the warlord down, or if he is going to be the one to destroy everyone that her and her crew have worked so hard for. So this book sounds so good, and it says on here sisterhood is survival, which sounds amazing. So I'm really excited for this one. So next one is one that I was not expecting to pick up at all, but they were passing it out and I figured why not grab a copy, and it is called Seeing Red by Sandra Brown. I picked this up because I stated in my May book haul video, if you have not checked that out, I am in the mood for romance now that it's summer, and this is going to be a romance book. It's like a romantic thriller suspense novel, and it basically follows a girl called Cara Bailey, who is a TV journalist, and she's on this hot pursuit for an interview with Major Franklin Trapper, who is a reclusive American hero who basically helped a lot of people survive this Dallas bombing. And now something happens, and they're both targeted by the assailants, and now they have to figure out who actually was behind this bombing. So I'm really excited for this book. This book sounds quite fascinating, so pretty excited to read it. Oh, and this book actually already came out last year in August. The next book that I got is one that I was super psyched for, mainly because it's being compared to Outlander, and I love that series. And that book is called The Lost Queen by Signe Pike. I am so excited. Apparently this book is dubbed as Outlander meets Camelot, and that's all I really need to know about this book, and I'm already hooked. Plus this cover is so pretty, and apparently there's a lot of good buzz about this book right now, so I'm highly anticipating that this book will be fabulous. And this book comes out on September 4th. So the next book that I got is one that I didn't even know that they were going to write a novel about. It came as a surprise, to be honest, and when I saw that there were books about it, I was like, oh my god. And it's basically inspired by the hit Broadway show. I never saw it, but I've heard so many positive things about it, and it's called Dear Evan Hansen. It's written by the same people who wrote the show, as well as Val Emick, so I'm pretty excited for it. I believe it's supposed to go into a more in-depth of what the show is, because obviously with the musical there's not much you can go into, there's only so much you can go into with the songs and all the dialogue, but with the book you can go a lot deeper. So I believe it is just basically the book version that is essentially inspired and taken from the Broadway show. So really excited for this one. Oh, and this one comes out on October 2018. So the next book that I picked up is one that I actually kind of picked up on the whim because the cover looked so adorable, and I also found out that there are illustrations scattered throughout this book, which I thought was quite interesting. And the book is called Le Con Artist by Fred Van Lente. Look how adorable this book is. It is so cute. And the ironic thing is that this book is actually about a murder mystery, and it follows the story of a guy called Mike Mason, who's a comic book artist, and he arrives at the San Diego Comic-Con, and then he finds out that his romantic rival is found murdered, and then he becomes the prime suspect. So this book sounds so good, sounds really fun. Maybe not fun, maybe fun's not the right word, but I'm really excited to read this book. And plus there are illustrations throughout this book, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't really read that many books with illustrations, which is why I thought this book would be pretty good for me to pick up. And this book comes out on July 10th. Then the next book that I picked up is one that I was really excited for because I actually have read many of the author's previous novels and I really liked it. And so when I found that she had another novel coming out, I was really excited to pick it up. And that book is called A Heart and a Body in the World by Deb Coletti. I'm not a huge fan of this cover, to be honest. I don't really like the face here. It kind of looks kind of creepy for some reason. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks so. This book comes out on September 18th. I also think that the premise of this book is quite interesting and quite different than what I usually pick up. It's basically about a girl called Annabelle who's essentially on this cross-country run from Seattle to Washington. She's running through mountains, she's running through suburban landscapes, etc. Basically trying to outrun the tragedy that happened last year. And somehow she becomes this reluctant activist. I guess her cross-country runs somehow gets a lot of media attention, and even though the support is quite nice, she can't help but she can't escape from the guilt and the shame that is plaguing her from what happened back home. So this book sounds really, really good. It sounds like it would be a good emotional read, which is one that I'm excited to pick up. The next book that I picked up is one that I was really excited for, mainly because it's a magical realism fantasy novel and I really, really enjoy those. And the cover is absolutely stunning. The book is called The Sisters of the Winterwood by Rena Rosner. Look how beautiful this cover is. I love this cover. It is spectacular. Basically, it follows the story of these two sisters called Liba and Leah who live a relatively peaceful life and is sheltered as well. And this group of mysterious men arrives, and I guess Layla falls under their spell despite the warnings that their mother gave them, which is don't get too close to strangers. And I guess they also find out that there's a family secret that has been passed down through generations, and they are now faced with this magical heritage that they never knew existed, and they realize that old fairy tales are true. So anyways, this book sounds really, really good. It says on top, every family has a secret. I like that quote a lot. And there's also a swan here and a bear here, which I guess is supposed to signify their parents. I believe I read somewhere that their father is supposed to be the bear and their mother is supposed to be the swan. So regardless, I'm really excited to pick this up. And this book comes out on September 25th. Then the next book that I picked up is one that I was not expecting to pick up at all, but the premise, the summary of the back looked kind of interesting, which is why I decided to just pick it up and see if I like it or not. The book is called Transcription by Kate Atkinson. The book is basically set in the 1940s and the 1950s. It follows a girl called Juliet Armstrong, where back in the 1940s she was 18 years old and she gets basically recruited into a obscure department of the Secret Service. Basically, she gets recruited into the world of espionage, and there she basically monitors the comings and goings of these British fascist sympathizers. And now that the war has ended, 10 years later, she becomes this radio producer at the BBC. And suddenly she confronts figures from her past, and she's now once again under threat. So this book sounds really, really intriguing. It's kind of a suspenseful mystery novel, and I'm really excited to read it. And this book comes out on September 25th, 2018. Then the last book that I picked up, okay, this is not the last book, but this is the last book that I'll be showing today, and the rest of it will be part 2. But the last book is A Spark of Light by Dodi Picoult. I honestly don't really know what this book is about. I just saw Dodi Picoult and I was like, yes. Plus the cover is so pretty. Look at this kaleidoscope of colors. This book comes out in October 2018. According to the back, basically it just says it's a new novel about ordinary lives that intersect with a heart-stopping crisis, which, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really care about that part. I just cared that the author is Dodi Picoult, and any of her books that I've read so far has been fantastic. So I don't really care what the premise is about, to be honest, because I trust that her books will be amazing. So anyways, that's all I have to say for today. For my part 1 of my BA book haul, I will be doing part 2 in a few days probably, because I'm already exhausted. That was 20 books, by the way, that I just showed you guys. But anyway, that's all I have to say for this video. If you went to BA and you've picked up one of these books, let me know in the comments below so we can basically share our thoughts about it after reading it. And if there are any books on this list that I've showed you guys today that you really want to read, do let me know in the comments below. Let me know which one you're most anticipating. And as always, if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you. Bye.